It's less than a month now until the Liberals pick a new federal leader. It'll be their fifth in a decade and the person who takes the party into the 2015 election. Ahead of April's vote, we're talking to each of the leadership candidates right here on CBC News Network. And this week, it's Karen McCrimmon who's in the hot seat. McCrimmon grew up in western area of Toronto. She joined the Canadian Forces right out of high school and was the first woman ever to command a Royal Canadian Air Force squadron. After the military, McCrimmon got involved in negotiation and mediation, and now she owns her own business specializing in conflict resolution. McCrimmon has two grown children, and she joins me live now from Ottawa. Thanks for joining us today.
Pleasure to be here, Hannah.
Now, let's start with a pretty big game changer this week. We saw that Marc Garneau was dropping out of the race, and he's backing Justin Trudeau. So where does that leave you in the race? What did you think of all this?
You know, I really regret that he had to make that decision. I respect it.
Why?
Well, because he added so much to the race. He had a lot of good things to say. He connected with people, and he played an important role. So I'm sad to see him step aside. I think it does change things. Now, I'm a veteran, I'm a mother, I'm a mediator. I have a lot of real-life experience to offer the country, and that's what I'm going to continue to talk about.
So you do say you think it changes things that Garneau dropped out of the race. How exactly?
Well, it does change things because there's one less option. And when I look at this was a huge experiment in growing democracy in this country. And I think the Liberals should be proud of it. And democracy is about having more choice, not less. So it's one less choice that people have. So that's how it's going to change things.
So who do you see as the biggest challenger to Trudeau at the moment? We've heard that he is the perceived frontrunner, that he has a lot of supporters, he raised a lot of money. So who do you see as a big contender?
You know what? I think it's my military background. And when you think of the word campaign, it comes from a military context. So it's I look at it a bigger picture than that. And I think the Liberals are looking for someone who will be able to defeat this present government. And so when you do that, when you put a campaign together, what you look at is what are the strengths of your opposition? And then you find a way to diminish those strengths, mitigate them somehow. And when I look at this government, I think about, first of all, the attack ads. I door knocked in 2008 and again in 2011 as a candidate. And over again, I had the words from the attack ads repeated back to me verbatim. So we know the attack ads work. So that's one of their strengths. And I say to people, listen, let's give them a tough target to go after. I'm a woman, I'm a veteran, and how is he going to be able to do that without provoking the ire of Canadians?
So you say the attack ads work. How would you go after Harper in the next election? Would you use that type of tactic?
Absolutely not. I'm going to stand up for my country. I'm going to speak truth to power. And then if Harper decides to attack a woman veteran, then I think he'll have a tough job doing so. And I think that Canadians will say that that's just not acceptable. And then if we look at his other strength, what he plays to is security. So I can talk security, I can talk sovereignty, I can talk national defense, foreign affairs, because to me, they're not words on the paper, I've actually lived them. So, and we need to have a strong voice in the Liberal Party that can do just that. And the third thing would have to be financial or fiscal responsibility. I don't come from a rich family. I came from a middle-class family. My mother was an immigrant with a grade 6 education, and my father started out as a technician on the Avro Aero. I learned from them what financial responsibility means about balancing a budget, and I'm here able to do what I'm able to do for my country because of what I know about balancing books and being financially responsible. That's his weakness that we need to be able to speak to.
Well, when we talk about financial responsibility, that's another big thing in leadership races, our finances and paying for this as well. Are you confident that you can take this to the end financially, but also when it comes to supporters?
Absolutely.
How do you know this?
Well, you know, it's about connecting with people, and it's taken, because we're not getting a lot of mainstream media press, it's taken a while. And I'll tell you what, in the last 10 days to 2 weeks, The amount of number of donations we are getting on a daily basis is like it's grown by a factor of 10. So all of a sudden now people are listening. They want to hear those arguments, and they're getting out there.
When it comes to the supporter category, we kind of saw a little bit of a fiasco with that last week. How confident are you this is going to work, and how many supporters are you finding are backing you?
Well, it is a challenge, and I do agree that that the Liberal Party really went out there and tried to do something to improve democracy in this country and get more people involved, and I think that's worked. I mean, connecting with members and supporters, that's what I'm doing on a daily basis, and the number of emails I'm getting is in a response through the website, and the positive response it's really. It's an honor, and I'm just going to keep on working at it and putting myself forward. I want to have a clear conscience that I did everything in my power to help change the direction that my country is currently on, and that's what I'm doing.
Now, we've also been asking viewers to send in their own questions for Liberal candidates, and we have some of those here. If you don't mind, let's start with Keith Dodd of Victoria, BC. Here's what he has to say. He wants to know, will you agree to cooperate with other parties in order to oust the Conservatives in the next election?
You know what? I think I'm a mediator. Okay, that's what I do for a living, is find common interest. But what I want to do is be able to speak to all Canadians. My husband, he jokes. He says, Karen's a red-orange Liberal with blue credentials. So we need somebody that can talk to all parties, all people that want our country to on a different path. I don't want this to become divisive. It's us against them, and we stumble our way into a two-party system like they have in the United States. I think the Liberal Party should really be about talking to all Canadians.
So is that cooperating with other parties like Joyce Murray has suggested?
No.
No, absolutely not.
Not at this point, not ahead of the game. Because really, it means that you're putting your focus on one group of people. I mean, there are a lot of red Tories out there who are also looking for something, who want a different future than this government is presently taking us on. So they need a voice as well. So I want to be able to talk to everyone and not divide the country into you're either with us or against us. That's how this current government is doing things, and that's not what I want for my country.
You say not cooperate at this point. Is there at some point where you could see cooperation?
After an election. Listen, we've had minority governments in this country that have done wonderful things. Pearson's
but not to win an election.
No.
Okay.
No.
I want to get to another viewer question just to make sure we get everything in here. Raman Mohammed of Toronto asks this: what is your stance on electoral reform? Will you keep as a first past the post system or change it? I actually have an electoral reform proposal that'll be up on the website. And what I suggest is that we have two national petitions. One petition says, I do not favor electoral reform. I like the current system because, and give them 6 or 8 strengths of the current system. It's familiar, it's quick, it's easy, you get the results, you get majority governments, et cetera, et cetera. And the other one will say, I am in favor of electoral reform, and the new system should, and give them 8 things or 10 things to choose from. Increase civility and cooperation, decrease polarization and partisanship, reform the Senate, cap election spending, include elements of PR by the common vote, include elements of PR by gender, include elements of direct democracy, and then let Canadians have a say on what they want their new electoral system to look like. That's how I would do it. Now, this week, we'll see the government table the 2013 budget. What are you expecting to see out of this?
I'm expecting to see lots of words and not very much in the way of action. This government talks a good story, but we will continue to have significant debt. One of my favorite sayings is Ralph Waldo Emerson, and he said, a man in debt is insofar a slave. The same thing goes for a country. We have to, this government says it's going to balance the books. It's nowhere closer today than it was when it took over. So that is an issue for me, and they'll have lots of excuses why it has not been done, and Canadians need to hold their feet to the fire.
Now, we've been asking this of most of the candidates. Your motivation for running, why did you decide to do this?
Because I see my country going off track in a great hurry, and I wanted to have a clear conscience that I had done everything in my power to help change that.
Now, I know when you vote, you would vote probably for yourself to become the next Liberal leader. Am I correct in saying that?
Absolutely.
Who would be your number 2 pick?
You know, I'm running because I think I have a set of competencies and skills and experience under fire, making tough decisions, life and death decisions. And right now, I can't say that there's another candidate that I would choose. I think that when I look at it from a campaign perspective, looking at what their strengths are and what weaknesses are, our own weaknesses are, and how we're going to approach that, I certainly can't say that I would choose another candidate.
You wouldn't choose another candidate? That's a surprising answer.
Is it?
Yeah, it was. It was interesting. But
Okay.
Where do you see yourself after the next leader is chosen? If you don't get chosen as leader?
I have made it perfectly clear at the end of this process, what I want to see is a strong team of Liberal leaders. Okay, and leaders that are all following the same winner of whoever wins this race, I will be there. Regardless of what the outcome of this race, I will run in the 2015 election. Because, again, this is about my country and the direction we're heading, and I'm going to keep working at it until we change the trajectory that we are currently on. And that's what I need to hear from all the rest of the candidates as well.
Karen McCrimmon, thanks for your time today. I appreciate it.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you so much, Hannah.